Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Parasha Pointers, where we delve into the weekly Parasha. We look for inspiration of how to raise our children, but really ultimately how to raise ourselves. This is Parashat Lech, Lecha. This week's message is dedicated anonymously in honor of Rabbi Netanel, who does so much work for our community. They should have good health and hatzlacha and everything that he does, him and his entire family. So we see in this week's Parasha something amazing, that Avraham Avinu is told, Lech Lecha, he's got to go. This is a big test, to get up and just uproot yourself. He doesn't even know where he's going, and he's on his way with his wife. And he doesn't know where he's going. This is one of the tests, the 10 tests of Avraham Avinu. On his way, it says that he stops by a place called Shechem. And Rashi tells us he went to pray there for his future descendants. What happened with his future descendants? In the future, the sons of Yaakov made a war and they destroyed the people of Shechem. And they did this because Dinah was abducted, of course. So he prayed at this point for their success in that battle. Now this is very odd. He's in the middle of going through something himself, and he's taking the time to pray for his descendants? Very interesting. I was very, very fortunate to be close to Rav Moshe Malka Zatzal. Passed away about 10 years ago. He was from Bnei Brak. He was a big tzaddik. He was a tremendous tzaddik. And he used to come to the house, and he was always smiling and fun and laughing and exuberant. But when he prayed the Amidah, oh my goodness, he would cry, he would cry, he would cry. Because he understood an important lesson that we learned from Avraham Avinu. You need to pray for things before they happen. He realized an opportunity to pray for his descendants later on. He took that opportunity, because if you pray before something happens, it's much more powerful. When you pray in Amidah and you cry before there's a problem, you are preventing the problem from happening. The Zohar describes when Noah left the Teva. He walks out of the Teva and he sees the destruction and he starts to cry and he says, Hashem, where's your mercy? Hashem says, where's my mercy? Now you're crying? You're crying after it happened? Why didn't you cry when I told you I was going to build a teva? Why didn't you cry when I told you I was going to bring a flood? You don't know when to cry. You're crying at the wrong time. We, as parents, sometimes face big challenges. And we cry. And it's okay. And it's tough. But how great would it be if we cried in prayer to Hashem before the problem to prevent it from happening? The Hafetz Chaim writes the importance, and it's brought down in the Hafetz Chaim in the Mishnah Berurah, in a halacha book, the importance to pray for your children's success. I heard about Rav Moshe Feinstein Zatzal, that he was praying and crying for his children when they were already Gedolim. He was an old man, his children were already great rabbis. And he was still praying for them, because he realized that for everything we got to pray. We got to be ahead of the curve. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat says, "La'olam yaktim adam tefillah letzara." You should always pray before the problem. This is said by Rabbi Lozer. Don't wait for the predicament. In fact, we see this in Parashat Toledot as well. Yitzhak prayed, it says in the pasuk, and then after it says, and Rivka was barren. First, Rivka was barren, then he prayed. No. Yitzchak first prayed that there shouldn't be a problem. And when the problem arose, it was already tefillot there working their way to stop the problem and to turn things around. And the Gemara in Sukkah says that Yitzchak Avinu was able to turn it around, just like you turn. Vayatad comes from atar. It's like a fork. You could turn over the ground. He was able to turn over a very, very bad edict because he was praying from before. In fact, the Gemara also in Masechet Berachot lists all types of things you're supposed to pray for beforehand. It goes even to like a grave, that you should have a good burial. The power of prayer before. We have our beautiful children. We have goals. Let's articulate those goals for them. Let's talk about Hashem. Hashem, please, I want my kids to be happy. I want them to get good marriages. I want them to have good relationships. I want them to have good children. I want them to be in good yeshivot. I want my grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Open up your heart. Hashem wants to hear it. And in that zechut, we're going to be answered. Yaakov Avinu's sons, they were taken care of. They were successful in battle. because a great man all the way before saw, if I pray now for the future, we're going to have a Yeshua. Shabbat Shalom.